And so they asked him, and not only did they ask him to pray because they saw him disciplined in his prayer, but they also asked him to pray because they saw demonstrations from his prayer. See, it's one thing to have the discipline to pray. It's a different thing to have the demonstration from prayer. That is, to see the effects of prayer. So many times we pray and we see no effect. Sometimes we see ill effects because we're asking God to do one thing and we don't understand what it is that we're asking God for. So we don't see results that we think that we should be seeing in our lives. But they asked him not only because of his discipline to pray, but they was asking him because of his demonstration, because when he prayed, they saw results. So they're asking him, teach us to pray. Teach us to pray like that. Oh, we know how to pray. I've been praying since I was in Sunday school, but I have never prayed a prayer that get the kind of things done that you get done. I've prayed before, but I've never been able to walk on water after I prayed. I've prayed before, but I've never seen wine or water turn to wine after. I've never seen anything. I've never seen dead come back to life. I've never seen blinded eyes open. I've never seen those who were lame begin to get up and walk and carry their mat. And I've seen prayer, and I have a certain amount of discipline in my prayer, but I've never seen a demonstration like that. God, teach us how to pray. You see, your prayer is not praying at all until your prayer shows some kind of effect, shows some demonstration, shows that God heard what you said. You see, if God doesn't answer, if God doesn't move, then your prayer is just merely words spoken into the atmosphere. You're just merely saying things like you would say any other thing. But when you really truly pray and God hears what you say, the Bible said words of the Lord cannot return back unto him void. So how do I get my prayer through? How do I get a prayer through that's not vain? How do I get a prayer through that's not just simple religion? How do I get a prayer through that's not just something that I concocted, something that I got up out of my own self, my own spirit? Well, when you pray the Lord's Prayer, there's a difference. Teach us to pray. It is an all-inclusive prayer, which simply means you cannot pray this prayer and be selfish. You cannot pray this prayer and be talking only about you and what you want and what's good for your family and what's good for your children and what you need for your husband and what you want for your wife and what you want to happen on your job and the promotion that you want. You see, most prayers that people pray are those kind of selfish kind of prayers that only include them. Nobody else but them. But I'm telling you, the Lord is against those kinds of prayers. Not saying that you cannot pray for yourself. If you're hurting, yes, he wants you to pray and ask for your healing. But not just for you. He wants you to pray for the healing of the nations. He wants you to pray for the healing of your neighbor. You can't ask God to heal you and you just step out of your neighbor's house who's sick too and never mention her. You can't pray and get a response. You see, I said that to you on Wednesday night, that when we pray the Lord's Prayer and we ask God, again, for instance, when he said, give us this day our daily bread. You can't ask God to give you your bread and you don't help others with the bread and the need that is in their lives. Now, you just bypassed the man on the interstate that was only asking for $1 or less. You looked at him with disdain. You looked at him with disgust. You looked at him and grew tired and fatigued and weary, and you upset because you're sick and tired of seeing people like that on the corner. Oh, you might as well say amen. And you're tired of seeing people like that. So you looked at him and you paid him no attention, and yet you go to Jesus in your secret closet and you ask him to give you your daily bread. You're going to starve yourself to death. Because you can't pray and ask God to give you except you are willing to take from you and give it to someone else.